This lesson is for students who have more than 8 weeks to study for the IELTS exam. Many students have about 2 to 6 months, and that's a longer term student. Some of you have more than 6 months even, which is great because you have lots and lots of time to study for the test and to do other things as well. So everybody's time is different. Your schedule is different from everyone else's. We have study schedules, and you see a 1-month study schedule below and a language development study schedule. I'll be talking about those in this lesson. But you're going to have to do some work to create your own schedule that fits your needs and your time constraints. Okay, so the purpose of this lesson is to help you think about what are the most important priorities when you are creating your study schedule. Okay, so let's think about this a little bit. So for you who have more than 2 months to study for the IELTS, so the first thing you need to do, and this is true for every student, okay, that's studying for the exam, is you need to learn about the test. You need to know what to expect in each of the 4 sections. You need to learn about the question types and their directions. You need to learn how each section is scored. And you need to develop your timing strategies, especially for the reading and writing section. Okay, since you have more than 8 weeks, more than 2 months to study for the test, this is something you have a lot of time to do, all of these things, okay? If you go through all your lesson videos, and if you take if you spend time working on practice questions over the course of the entire time you have to study for IELTS, if you're looking at that material regularly, you have plenty of time to master all of this content. Okay, so in addition to just learning about the exam, you should be taking practice questions. Take a few every day, okay? Since you have so much time, you don't have to take lots and lots of questions every day. Just regular practice. Can you build it into your routine to take, a few sets of reading questions and to answer a few sets of listening questions every day? Maybe a half hour or 45 minutes. Some days you'll want to spend longer, okay? Especially, of course, days where you take practice tests, you'll be doing much more than that. But these 2 things, okay, working on these daily practice questions a little bit each day, and what you do to learn about the test, of course, these things work together, okay? When you do the practice questions, you apply the knowledge you're learning from the lesson videos, and you learn over time through repeated practice. Okay, so that's sort of priority number 1. Again, since you have so much time, you have plenty of time to space out your practice questions and your lesson videos to learn about the test over this period of time. Okay, now, in addition to learning about the exam, a few other things. Since you have so much time, you need to focus on your vocabulary development, okay? This is very important. On all 4 sections of the exam, you can really boost your score by adding a lot of vocabulary to your repertoire, to your active vocabulary, your ability to recognize and use these words. And the best way to do that is to keep a vocabulary journal, to do a systematic study of vocabulary. We have a whole lesson on keeping a vocabulary journal, so I'm not going to talk about it a long time here. I highly recommend if you can learn 10 to 15 new words every day over the course of the months that you have to study for the test, then think about how many words you can add to your vocabulary over this time. Make it part of your daily routine to study vocabulary and keep a journal so that you are studying it in a systematic way. Okay, you should also be taking regular practice tests. Now, since you have so much time, I recommend the following kind of program. Take a full-length test very early, maybe in the first week of your program that you're following. This helps you to know how you're doing and what you know and what you don't know about the test. It's very informative to take a full-length test to give you a sense of your timing. Many students find on the writing section, for example, that you really aren't close to being able to write 2 essays in 1 hour and hit the minimum word count number. Okay, that's information for you that you need to work on your writing speed, and you get that early in your program so that you can work on those things over time. So take a full-length test early, And then maybe every 2 or 3 weeks, I recommend taking a full-length exam, okay? Find a time, maybe Saturday or Sunday morning. You can take the time, the hours that it takes, and you really should try to recreate exam conditions when you take the test. So get a good 3-hour window where you can take a practice exam just like it's going to be with the timing of the real exam on exam day. Then, during the last month of your program, I recommend taking one practice test each week, okay? So, don't burn out. Don't take practice tests every week for the whole entirety of your program. You'll get really fatigued, tired from doing that. Most students would. If you have the energy to do that, go ahead. Of course, it's not going to hurt you. But I think every 2 to 3 weeks is enough. And then the last month of your preparation, try to speed up and do a few more. Okay, now here's the big thing for you students with more than 8 weeks to study. You can do a lot in addition to your vocabulary we talked about earlier. You can do a lot to really build your English skills. Okay, so not just learning about the test, but actually getting better at English. Okay, here are my recommendations. If at all possible, if you have more than 2 months, consider taking English classes. Do what you need to do to find a conversation partner, maybe in person or even online. Get a tutor. You can make real advances in maybe your speaking fluency or your ability to write clearly, okay? Those things can be dramatically improved if you get a little bit of help with your English skills. So consider that if you've got the time. I don't recommend that for students who have a much shorter program because there just isn't time to learn all of the different things that go into, let's say, improving your grammar or really making a dramatic difference in your speaking fluency. But you, students who have more time, can make big gains if you have the time, and if you can get some help often, you can make some big gains in your English abilities during this time. So consider also some in-depth grammar review. If you don't have a teacher, you don't sign up for a class, you can still do some things on your own. I recommend a grammar book. I've put a link to it down below in the notes for this lesson, down with the study schedules you see there. I recommend that you do some grammar study, and I think that book is an excellent one to look at. So do some grammar review. Like we talked about earlier, you can make significant improvement to your vocabulary if you study vocab every single day. And you should be doing some non-IELTS reading and listening practice. Okay, so reading newspapers and doing some listening practice from sources that are not IELTS related. You can expand your abilities beyond just what you're doing to practice the test. If you look down below, there's the 10-week schedule there, the English language development schedule that you see down below. There are a long list of exercises that are spaced out over the course of 10 weeks. You can space them out however you want and need to do that, but there are lots of resources there for you for reading, listening, and some ideas to improve your writing and speaking as well, even if you don't have a teacher to help you out. So look at that resource down below that's labeled the English Language Development schedule there. Okay, so to review, you have more than 8 weeks to study, so there's a lot you can accomplish. Of course, you're going to learn about the test and do as many practice questions as you can. You're going to take regularly scheduled mock tests, but then you're going to do some other things, okay? You're going to look outside of the IELTS world for reading and listening practice. You're going to set a very high vocabulary goal for yourself because that's going to really boost your score, the more vocabulary you can use actively on the exam. And consider taking a class or working with a tutor. The goal of these things down below is that you can do a lot to improve your English language skills in the amount of time you have to study for the IELTS. So get to work, but you've got time, but set a schedule and set an ambitious schedule for yourself, because the more work you put into it over the course of these months that you have, the more you're going to benefit. Okay, good luck with your studies.